Fancy seeing you here again, Pete. It's an absolute pleasure to see you again. We're going into the next topic of our podcast, which is data services. Now, a lot of people know is data is the heart of a modern transport solution. What I think a lot of the viewers would like to know is, how does Clearview Intelligence data services help authorities make smarter, safety-driven decisions?
Ooh, that's a big question.
It is indeed.
So, a lot of the stuff that we've done over the years has been about collecting data. I think I said in a previous podcast about, our first product was a traffic counter. And those things have changed over the years, and the technology that we use to detect things changes. Historically it will have been a loop counter, but more recently there are kind of non-invasive technologies like LiDAR, or more recently video-based solutions. But ultimately, they just create data, and it's all about the data, really. Maybe a quick history lesson. I don't want to bore you to death, but when these first counters came out, they used to use the cost of memory was huge. 8 megabits of memory was an expensive chip. That was a serious investment. So they found ways of effectively compressing the data, and it was called binned data. Now, binned data actually is still being used by some people. The problem with binned data is you have to kind of make a decision about what it is you want before you collect it. So with bin data, we detect a vehicle going down the road, and we'll say it's a car and it was doing 47 miles an hour. So we effectively put that in the car bin and the 40 and the 40 to 50 miles an hour bin. So we've just got a counter there that says one car somewhere between 40 and 50 miles an hour, and it's just one little peg. You can imagine just putting one peg in a and then the next car comes along, it's doing 65 miles an hour. So it's another car. This one's now between 50 and 60. So there's a peg in there. So these two vehicles have just taken two tiny little bits of data. The difficulty is if you then come back to me 6 months later and said, how many cars were doing between 45 and 50? I can't tell you. I can't break that data down. I just know there are so many cars going between 40 and 50. I can't break it down any more than that. And that was all about saving data. So that was what we call bin data. The more recent version is what we've historically called vehicle-by-vehicle data. So for that, everything that we detect creates a record. So a vehicle goes down the road and we get a timestamp. When did it happen?
Yeah.
What was the length of the vehicle? How fast was that vehicle travelling? What type of vehicle was it? What's the gap between that vehicle and the next vehicle? What's the headway between that vehicle and the next vehicle? So all of these things are stored. So instead of this one little peg that's sitting in this thing, we've now got a whole line of data. And when some roads have got like 6 or 7 lanes and there's thousands of vehicles a day, thousands of vehicles an hour, you can very quickly get into millions of records. So all of these millions of records now end up in our Insight platform, our data management platform. And it's not a trivial thing, to be honest, analysing that. If you want to start to look at averages and things, you've got to number crunch a lot of data. So our Insight platform is connected to thousands, tens of thousands of devices out there on the side of the road, collecting all this typically vehicle-by-vehicle data, or we also call it IVD, individual vehicle data. That's all being stored in the database, and then the customer, whoever that customer is, whether it's National Highways, whether it's a local authority, gets access to that data, and then they can run reports on it. So they can say, what was the average speed of vehicles between these particular hours of the day? What's the class of the vehicle? So class is the type of vehicle. So is it a car? Yeah. Is it a van? Is it an HGV? Is it an articulated HGV? Is it a bus? We can identify all of these things. So they can start to look at what the makeup of the vehicle fleet is. So they can see changes over time, and you'll be aware that there's lots of delivery vehicles around now that are driving around rural or residential areas, dropping off parcels at people's houses. That's a thing that you can actually see in the data. And interestingly, actually, I saw a great graph the other day that showed the past 5 years worth of data, and the volume of vehicles comes along, and then it suddenly just falls through the floor when COVID hit.
COVID, yeah,
so you can see, and it's really interesting to kind of look at this data and see, look, there it is. You can see it happened. So we've been collecting data for many, many, many years. We've got gigabytes, probably petabytes of data, and I think the important thing is it's not our data. It belongs to our customers. That data is available to the customers to do whatever they want to do with. If they want to come along and pick it up and take it away, they can do that. We don't hold them hostage to that data. We've collected it, we've stored it, we've allowed them to analyse it or whatever, but if they want to take it away, they can take it away. I mentioned there actually, that we've got all these devices that collect data. There's, surprisingly enough, there's other companies in this country that do stuff like that. There is effectively our competitors. But we can use their data as well. So if customers want to, they can use our counters to collect some stuff. But we can also take in data from other products, from other customers' products, because it's important they get that kind of holistic view about what's happening. So just because you don't have, a Clearview counter doesn't mean that you can't put that data into our Insight platform and allow you to analyse it. I don't know whether that actually answered your question or not.
I think I might have answered all my questions in one go. I'll lead on to another one, which I don't think it does. But how does Clearview Intelligence ensure data accuracy and security while providing solutions for safer, greener and smarter roads?
Yeah, so clearly security is really important, and we do carry out regular audits of our data platform. So we have penetration tests, so we get people to actually try and kind of hack into the system. And we've recently done a major update, and it's I think testament to our developers that there was this massive change made to the way that our Insight platform works, and they stressed over it for weeks and weeks and weeks about how they're going to do that, how they're going to implement it, and it very much reminds me of, you remember you don't know if you were around or not, the Y2K bug. Everybody was really concerned when we went to year 2000 that everything was going to fail, and midnight on year 2000. Nothing happened. And everybody went, what a waste of time that was. But it wasn't. It's because so many people had spent so much time making sure that nothing was going to happen that when it became a non-event, that was good news.
I was only about 4 years old, so
right, okay, yeah.
Don't quite remember that one.
Okay, but the key thing is our Insight guys had the same stress about this change. So they've changed the way the users authenticate on the system. They've improved the safety. And they rolled that out. And nothing happened, and that to me is a testament that these guys sweated over that to make sure that this kind of happened, and it just happened, and nobody noticed. There was no failures, no problems. So that's kind of part and parcel of what we do. I think another thing that's kind of interesting. I only started to understand this recently. Our latest technology counter, we call it a Connex, actually has a certificate on the device. So it's like it's almost like a digital identity. And we won't talk to a device unless it's got that identity. So if somebody effectively took the Connex unit away and plugged something else in, we'll go, that's not the device we're expecting. We're not going to talk to it. So this is all about, ensuring that only devices that we recognise and we understand actually can get into our system. But we also run all sorts of tests on, the validity of data. So if we're expecting to see a certain amount of vehicles along a stretch of road and suddenly you don't see them, our system will go, this doesn't look right, and it might be right. Maybe there's a road shut. When we come in here the other day, the road was shut. If you've got a traffic counter on that road, suddenly you're seeing no traffic. That might be the right answer, but it might not be. So we will alert our customers and say, you might want to have a little look at this. It might be that somebody's crashed into the cabinet and the device is not there anymore. It might be a fault. It might be the battery's gone flat. Who knows? But at least we tell you that we normally see this many vehicles. We're now only seeing this many. You might want to have a look. Maybe moving on from that, if you have a site that's done that, so for some reason a site has had no data for a day, but you want to run a report on the average over the month, that days of missing data is going to sway your average. Suddenly it's going to look wrong. So we can also allow customers to go, actually, I know why there was no vehicles on there. There was a collision or there was a flood or something. So that was a Wednesday. Let me take the previous Wednesday that I know was a normal Wednesday and let me patch it into that data. So we mark the data as patched. So we say that's actually not the data that we collected, but it allows you then to run reports, and that missing data doesn't kind of kick the averages out and so on. So there's lots of tools within our suite there that allows you to kind of make sure that data is not only secure, but also it's robust and it's reliable, and you trust the reports that you generate to be giving you kind of valid information.
Perfect. Thank you very much, mate.